San Luis Obispo Classical Academy is a nonprofit independent school on the central coast of California. We're a community that forges character, fosters wisdom, and nurtures a lifelong passion for learning. The students of SLOCA are gaining a reputation for their thoughtfulness, curiosity, and creativity. But everywhere we go, we're asked, what is classical education? And why does it work? "2,000 years ago, the Greek city-state of Athens emerged as a cultural powerhouse among early civilizations. It's from this era that we see the emergence of the formal discipline of philosophy, and with it, subjects like logic, rhetoric, ethics, law, and art criticism. Later on, in 1st century Rome, a formal educational model developed around what were called the liberal arts. It was believed by the ancients that the mastery of these subjects would both elevate and humanize students, giving them a well-rounded foundation from which to pursue their intellectual interests and to contribute meaningfully to civic life. Throughout the Middle Ages, Renaissance, and Enlightenment, a liberal arts education was seen as fundamental to all scholarship, whether literary, scientific, theological, or mathematical. Classics and the liberal arts started to die out in America during the Industrial Revolution as public education emerged to keep kids safe during the day while preparing them for life in the labor force. Instead of seeing education as an essential part of society's philosophical, moral, and cultural development, education was viewed as a means to improve earning potential in a competitive, industrialized corporate world. All around the country, leaders, experts, and educators are scratching their heads, wondering what to do about our broken education system. We believe the antidote lies in the confluence of tradition and cutting-edge educational research. Like the schools of ancient Rome and medieval Europe, SLO Classical Academy is structured on the trivium. In grades 1 through 4, students learn the basic building blocks of each subject. In grades 5 through 8, students take their knowledge of a subject and the skills acquired in the grammar stage and begin to ask why and how these ideas fit together. Tackled during the high school years, this is when students learn the arts of self-expression and argumentation, learning to write and speak about their ideas in persuasive and winsome ways. Most modern classical schools, including SLOCA, emphasize some key areas. Across learning levels, we celebrate great books in what we call the Great Conversation, the dialogue of thinkers and writers across the ages. The practice of memorizing and reciting makes use of the natural developmental proclivities of young children to soak up, organize, and internalize knowledge.
Am, is, are, was, were, be, been, been. Keep going. Have, has, had, do, does, did, shall, would, should, would, may, might, must.
Students study Latin starting in primary. Latin not only lays the groundwork for learning proper English and modern languages, it also teaches students how to think logically and coherently about words, improving a range of academic skills. In a digital age, some believe that handwriting and cursive should be obsolete. But writing is still an important academic and vocational skill, and it also develops skills like attention to detail, pride in one's own work, and perseverance. We start in early childhood preparing the whole body for academic success, working on gross and fine motor skills before teaching pencil grip and lettering. While we are, at our heart, a passionate school dedicated to the classical tradition, at SLOCA, we like to say that we offer classical education with a twist. SLOCA has developed an innovative early childhood program for preschool and kindergarten-age children called Little Wonders. This stage sets the foundation for all that happens in the later years. Through imaginative play, gross and fine motor development, poetry recitation, and beautiful literature, children are primed to take on a lifetime of exciting learning. If there's one thing that defines SLOCA, it's the importance placed on the family as central to a child's education. Parents are involved in homeschooling 2 to 3 days a week through the 8th grade. When attending our university model high school, students are also home 2 days a week for independent learning. Our structure gives families a chance to learn together, reinforcing parent-child and sibling relationships and nurturing those special bonds well into the teenage years. At SLOCA, we love to play. This is especially important in our early childhood program, Little Wonders. But we find ways to play all the way up through high school and beyond. Before the Victorian age, children were seen as small adults. They were often seen as a burden or as a means to improve the family income. And things like play and imagination were not valued. Fun and play are not necessarily traditional or classical education values, but we've seen firsthand that they are necessary to the healthy development of children. Play involves problem solving, observation of the outer world, invaluable relational skills, the healthy development of the body, and a love of learning. We teach history starting in 1st grade and move chronologically through a 4-year cycle, with grade levels aligned. That means when we're studying the Middle Ages, we do so as a whole school. We start with the literature in the 1st grade and go all the way up to the 12th. A primary student would read the illustrated children's edition of a book. A middle schooler would read an advanced abridged version, and a high schooler would read a dual translation of the entire text. Across all levels, families are studying history and reading books together, familiarizing themselves with the foundational histories, stories, myths, and poems of Western civilization and the greater world. Unique among classical schools, we use Singapore math from 1st to 8th grade. Based on the mathematics instruction of the world's highest performing nation, Singapore math teaches not rote formulas, but analytical and concrete mathematical thinking, laying the intellectual and creative foundation for students to thrive in advanced math later on. This math program creates a bridge between the literal, concrete world of childhood and the world of abstract, advanced mathematics by emphasizing logic, symbolic thinking, proofs, concrete visualization, verbalization, and imagination. There is one element that makes SLO Classical Academy truly unique among modern classical schools. We're an inclusive school that values diversity of thought, creed, and ethnicity. Most classical schools today are religiously affiliated and serve a specific cultural group. At SLOCA, while we have many families of various faiths in attendance, we believe it's valuable and intellectually stimulating for our students to be around children from diverse family cultures. World religions and political systems are explored as a part of our humanities program, and families are encouraged to practice and teach their own faiths, values, and traditions at home. This value placed on doing life together as a richly textured community teaches our students to dialogue with, befriend, and seek understanding from those who see things differently. This enriches the learning experiences of students as they together pursue what is good, true, and beautiful, and assist one another in the cultivation of virtue. It has been said that subjects like art, poetry, philosophy, music, religion, and mythology are impractical and no longer essential to today's learning experience. But the world needs classical education. Today, we've moved beyond the industrial age, and we now have a creative, innovation economy, which means that while we no longer export mass amounts of product, We have a market of ideas. The world is hungry for energetic, curious thinkers who understand how the world works and who have the confidence to think outside the box to address the numerous challenges that we face today. SLO Classical Academy addresses the realities and demands of our current world and prepares our students for life in it, all while paying honor to the wisdom of the ages.